We've recently looked into New York Airways and their iconic helicopter rides around New York City. When looking into New York Airways, I came across Los Angeles Airways, which were doing similar things to New York Airways, but in LA. In this video, we're going to take a look into Los Angeles Airways and how Disney was trying to get involved in the helicopter industry. On October 1st, 1947, Los Angeles Airways, the world's first scheduled helicopter air mail service, on a loop route through the San Fernando Valley, followed by additional routes to Newport Beach and San Bernardino within its first 6 months of operation. LAA was founded on May 11, 1944, by Clarence M. Billen, the former head engineering superintendent of National Airlines. With a fleet of 5 S-51s, LAA's first year of operations resulted in 700 tons of mail being carried, with approximately 40,000 landings throughout the Los Angeles metropolitan area. The small operation maintained a 95% reliability rate, and by the time it began its small package air express service in 1953, it was annually moving nearly 4,000 tons of mail a year. In July 1951, the CAB awarded LAA's reliable helicopter operation the rights for passenger service, which started in November 1954 with large Sikorsky S-55 helicopters, while the smaller S-51s continued the mail and package service. While aviation history better was preserved the story of the helicopter airlines, New York Airways, LAA began its passenger service only 4 months after New York Airways' first helicopter passenger service. In fact, on the New York Airways inaugural helicopter service in July 1954, LAA founder and president was one of the invited guests. In the summer of 1955, LAA added the new Disneyland Resort and Amusement Park to its route network. Using a dedicated Disney helipad in Anaheim, the flight to Disneyland cost roughly $4 per person each way. In that summer, LAA had 5 passenger Sikorsky S-55s flying scheduled services between 25 destinations in the Los Angeles Basin from Hollywood in the north, Long Beach and Orange County in the south, and San Bernardino in the west. LAA even had internal agreements with major airlines at LAX, offering passengers connecting services on United Airlines and later American Airlines. Even before the Disneyland park opened, executives announced that visitors would have the option of arriving by highway or skyway. 1 year before the park opened in July 1954, Walt himself took the initial test flight from the Studio Green in Burbank out to the construction site in Anaheim, finding the air commute was significantly shorter than on land, a mere 20 minutes by helicopter. From there, Walt signed off on plans to open a helicopter terminal on undeveloped land just outside the park. Plans for the helicopter terminal progressed with the park. By May 1955, TWA advertised that a person could soon buy a ticket from New York City direct to Disneyland, with the last leg of the flight completed by helicopter. The helicopter pad itself was located just outside Tomorrowland, on a little strip of asphalt not far from the Skyway station. Throughout the 1950s, well-to-do guests arrived at Disneyland by helicopter, thousands of them each year, most arriving in the Los Angeles Airways shuttles, but some arrived by private or military copters. These distinguished helicopter guests included the then future U.S. President John F. Kennedy, Prime Minister of Afghanistan, the Prime Minister of India, and the King of Belgium. All seemed great, but just like New York Airways, problems started to emerge for Los Angeles Airways. The problems for the Disneyland helipad first began in 1962, when Anaheim City Council informed Los Angeles Airways that they would need to construct a full air terminal, complete with indoor waiting area and public restrooms, to continue its service to Disneyland. 6 years later, a group of Anaheim motel owners banded together to formally protest the low-flying aircrafts, calling the helicopters dangerous and explaining that their noise disrupted motel guests. Another big problem was when the Civil Aeronautics Board in July 1965 decided to end its subsidies of approximately $4.3 million per year to LAA for having ruled that the scheduled helicopter passenger service were not commercially viable. Though the loss of the federal subsidy was a significant blow to LAA, it was offset by investment by American and United Airlines for 23.8% control of LAA that allowed the airline to continue operating. Just like New York Airways, tragedy struck LAA for the first time on May 22, 1968, when a main rotor blade separation from one of LAA's S-61Ls, operating as Flight 841, caused a crash at Paramount City with the loss of all on board. The passengers had spent the day at Disneyland. Then again, this time August 14, 1968, another S-61L operating as Flight 417 was lost again due to a main rotor blade separation, with the loss of all on board, including the 13-year-old grandson of the founder of LAA. The losses resulted in the grounding of profitable Sikorsky S-61Ls and the temporary stoppage of passenger services to Disneyland. With 2 helicopters lost, LAA had lost 1/3 of its entire S-61L fleet at that time in just the space of several months, and the disruption, even without the grounding, would have been tremendous to LAA's services. As a temporary stopgap, LAA ordered 4 EH-6 Twin Otters in the late 1968 and leased 2 further Twin Otters for the use on routes to Riverside and San Bernardino from LAX Airport. The leased helicopters came from a small commuter airline based in Long Beach. In the following year, they rebranded itself as Golden West and took a 54% controlling interest in Los Angeles Airways. A year later, a pilot strike lasting 6 months hit LAA further, crippling its finances, and a rescue deal was arranged with the Hughes Tool Company, with Howard Hughes himself providing bridge financing pending the final deal. However, Hughes would pull the plug on the deal before it would be signed. As a result, on September 26, 1970, Los Angeles Airways ceased operations. On July 1971, Golden West acquired LAA's operating certificate and 2 Sikorsky S-61Ls to restart helicopter services between Disneyland and LAX. The first services were flown by Golden West on March 15, 1972, but only lasted 6 months due to Golden West's own financial problems. The only remainder of LAA's historical legacy in Southern California is a memorial plaque near Gate 74 at Terminal 7 of LAX, where in its heyday, LAA's helicopter connected passengers from all over the metropolitan area with United flights. Just like New York Airways, Los Angeles Airways was iconic in the area. The tie with Disney made it even more popular and looked to the future of transportation. Tragically, just like New York Airways, accidents happened, and that was the ultimate end to both New York and Los Angeles Airways. And with that being said, as always, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe to see more videos.